So, you sit down to meditate, you put in the hours, you follow all the basic rules, and yet nothing. You feel completely stuck. It's like you've hit this massive, immovable brick wall in your spiritual growth. Sound familiar? Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're digging into a deeply fascinating source that tackles this exact frustration head-on. We're going to break down the intense, escalating spiritual protocols you actually need to shatter that plateau. We're treating this journey with the cinematic scale it deserves because, let's be real, exploring the depths of your inner world is the ultimate epic. Okay, let's dive right in.
All right, before we start the climb, we need to secure our footing. Our entire focus today is on sadhana. And just to be clear, this isn't about closing your eyes for 5 minutes to lower your blood pressure. Not even close. The source material defines sadhana as a rigorous, dedicated spiritual discipline. It's the active, daily pursuit of higher consciousness and the deliberate breaking of worldly attachments.
Here is our roadmap for the ascent today. The meditation plateau, finding your spiritual GPS, purifying body and mind, mastering sensory deprivation, the 3-day isolation challenge, and finally achieving constant consciousness.
First up, Part 1, Finding Your Spiritual GPS and the Role of the Guide.
It's kind of like this. The source compares a spiritual guru to a literal GPS. I mean, think about driving to a brand new city. Sure, you could guess the way, read street signs, maybe ask locals for directions. But a GPS, it tells you exactly where the tolls are, where to turn, and how to avoid massive traffic jams. In deep sadhana, a guru protects you from unseen obstacles. In fact, the speaker in our source notes that when they first started meditating, their guru's protective presence actually shielded them from negative entities. The guru basically accelerates the whole process, answering profound internal questions directly during your meditation. But hey, what if you don't have a guru? Well, the source gives us a pretty strict backup plan. First, actively appoint God as your temporary guide until a physical guru actually appears. Second, you must ask for daily forgiveness. Now, this isn't about wallowing in guilt. It's a strategic move to heal the mind and bring peace to the soul. And here's the crucial part. You have to stop asking for material things. Stop asking for a new car or a promotion. Treating the divine like a cosmic vending machine just creates irritation and blocks your spiritual progress. Ask only for pure guidance.
Moving right along to Part 2, Purifying Body and Mind. It's time to upgrade the vessel. Look, you absolutely cannot ascend if you're weighed down by old, unresolved karma. The source really emphasizes that when hours of chanting and meditation just aren't giving you results, you have to actively burn old karma through charity. And this is pretty universal across traditions. It can be as simple as feeding birds, helping out a neighbor, or maybe paying a child's school fees. Earning the silent blessings of others acts as a kind of spiritual solvent. It dissolves those invisible roadblocks that are clogging up your meditation.
But purification doesn't stop at charity, right? It extends to exactly what you put into your body. The source heavily advocates for transitioning to a sattvic diet. This is a highly restrictive purification diet where you temporarily cut out sugar, salt, onions, garlic, meat, and alcohol. Why? Because the source argues these specific foods literally ignite physical cravings. By cutting them out, you systematically starve your worldly desires. Your craving for food diminishes, and miraculously your craving for material achievements drops right alongside it. Consider the contrast here. A body bogged down by heavy, cooked meals and junk food spends all its vital energy just trying to digest. It's totally fatigued. But a fasted body, or a body running entirely on raw fruits and vegetables, it's a completely different machine. The source shares a personal story of eating nearly 1 kilo of raw vegetables a day during a fasting month. The result was a highly hydrated, intensely energetic body. When you're running on low physical energy from fasting, your internal spiritual energy actually spikes, which lets you sit for hours without feeling any physical discomfort. All right, Part 3, Mastering Sensory Deprivation. We are closing the gates. This actually kicks off before you even sit down. The source insists on waking up at 4 a.m. That's the time ancient yogis practiced. You have to bathe to ensure absolute physical cleanliness because that translates directly to energetic cleanliness. And your room? It must be meticulously organized. Visual clutter creates mental stress and completely blocks the flow of positive energy. You are essentially setting the cinematic stage for a massive internal event. Once you're seated, you bring out the tools of deprivation. The source highly recommends earplugs to entirely cut off the auditory world, and even more importantly, a blindfold. Not tied super tight, but just enough to ensure your eyes physically cannot open and distract you. And here is a really fascinating rule you absolutely must follow. You have to stop chasing visions.
When you close your eyes, if you start seeing deities or little stories playing out in your mind, ignore them. Blank them out completely. Clinging to visual phenomena actually slows down your true progress. But here's the million-dollar question we have to ask ourselves. How do you handle the inevitable flood of distracting thoughts when your eyes and ears are totally blocked? Because let me tell you, when you remove the outside world, the inside world gets incredibly loud. Well, our source offers a profoundly practical fix. You don't suppress the thoughts. You actually resolve them. If you're haunted by impure or lustful thoughts, actively reframe how you view people. View every stranger as a mother, sister, or daughter. The speaker notes this single mental shift fundamentally purified their mind. Stressed about business? Actively surrender it as God's will. Your job is just to put in the work. The result isn't up to you anyway. If you have debts, face them head on. Go talk to your creditors. If you don't resolve these worldly anxieties in your everyday life, they will utterly destroy your focus when you're sitting blindfolded in the dark. Which brings us to part 4, the 3-day isolation challenge, the ultimate protocol. This is the climax of this explainer, guys. If you've done all the previous steps and you are still stuck on that plateau, the source presents what they call the ultimate foolproof remedy, the Ramban, the undeniable cure. And the rules are absolute. Step 1, you lock yourself in a room. Step 2, maintain man vrat, which is a vow of unbroken, total silence. Step 3, 0 screens, no cell phones, absolutely no TV. Step 4, you arrange for a family member to drop off a minimal amount of food just twice a day. And no, you do not speak to them. You are completely cutting the cord to the external world. So what exactly are you doing in that room? You are meditating and chanting for up to 18 hours a day. Think about that. You sleep for 6 hours, and the rest of your waking existence is dedicated entirely to intense spiritual focus. And honestly, the source describes this as a brutal internal battle. You have to keep the blindfold on, your body's going to ache, and your mind will literally scream for you to take the blindfold off just to look at the wall. You will experience intense cravings. To survive those 18 hours, you have to alternate your techniques. When mental chanting completely exhausts you, you switch to speaking the chant out loud. When your voice gets tired, you dive right back into the mind. The source promises that if you can endure this 3-day crucible, you will emerge feeling like a superhero. You'll have shattered the barriers that were holding you back. Finally, we reach part 5, achieving constant consciousness, 24/7 mindfulness. You know, scheduled meditation is kind of what most of us are used to, right? Focusing intently for a few hours, and then just returning to our normal distracted lives. But the true goal, the absolute peak of sadhana, is God consciousness. This means experiencing the divine in every single mundane act. It means feeling deep gratitude and total presence when you're simply washing your face or brushing your teeth. Your mind isn't dreading the workday. It is entirely present in the water, the breath, the exact moment you're in. Your entire life basically becomes a continuous 24/7 meditation. We're going to wrap up with this incredibly profound paradox from the Upanishads, cited by the source. A student asks a guru how to gain everything, and the guru replies that you must lose everything. Only when you willingly surrender your attachments, your sensory distractions, and your ego, in that dark, silent room, do you discover the ultimate fullness of the universe. God is found in that nothingness. So, as you reflect on these intense protocols, ask yourself this. What is the one worldly attachment you are gripping so tightly right now that is preventing you from stepping into that nothingness? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.